In the infinite dark sea of space, beyond the last whisper of sunlight, a lone traveler drifts silently toward its eternal quiet. It's not a spaceship crewed by astronauts, nor a probe with a return ticket. It's Voyager 2, an ancient but resilient emissary launched by humanity nearly 5 decades ago. For years, it has been humanity's farthest outpost, beaming back faint echoes from the interstellar void, a testament to our curiosity and ingenuity. But now, something has ended. Voyager 2 has sent its final transmission, a message that wasn't just data, but a confirmation, something that shatters the illusions we've clung to. What we all feared, deep down, might actually be true. The universe isn't empty. It's watching us. And in that last burst of signal, Voyager 2 revealed the undeniable evidence of an intelligence beyond our own, one that has been lurking, waiting, and now, perhaps, ready to respond. Voyager 2 had long ventured beyond the familiar worlds of our solar system, past the gas giants, past the icy fringes of the Kuiper Belt, past the heliopause where the solar wind gives way to the relentless push of galactic cosmic rays. Out there, in the interstellar medium, it was meant to fade gracefully, its instruments gradually powering down as its nuclear battery dimmed, sending ever weaker reports of plasma densities, magnetic fields, and the subtle whispers of the cosmos. But instead, in its waning moments, it captured something profound, the kind of data that doesn't align with the quiet decay of a machine. At first, engineers at the Deep Space Network detected what seemed like a routine telemetry stream laced with the expected degradation from billions of miles of distance. But embedded within was an anomaly, a surge in the plasma wave subsystem that spiked erratically, lasting mere minutes before the signal abruptly ceased. These instruments, designed to measure charged particles and wave interactions, had always painted a picture of serene isolation. But this time, the readings carried an undercurrent of disturbance, not from random fluctuations, but from a coherent interference. Technicians initially attributed it to the probe's failing systems, perhaps a final glitch as its plutonium. 238 power source reached critical lows, yet when the data was processed through advanced noise-filtering algorithms, the truth emerged. It wasn't failure, it was interception. Voyager 2's final transmission had been altered, infused with a pattern that echoed back not just measurements, but a deliberate imprint. And as the world tuned in, the chilling realization dawned. This was no ordinary end. It was a revelation forced upon us from the abyss. When the raw data was dissected in secure labs, a wave of unease rippled through the global scientific network. The anomaly manifested as an object, or perhaps a structure, registering at roughly 300,000 kilometers from the probe. Its presence inferred through distortions in the surrounding plasma environment. No known celestial body could account for it. The region is devoid of comets, asteroids, or rogue planetesimals that might wander so far. Yet this entity wasn't inert. It exhibited velocity changes that defied Newtonian mechanics, accelerating in bursts that suggested controlled propulsion, rather than gravitational drift. Simulations run on supercomputers modeled its path, revealing a trajectory that shadowed Voyager 2's own, adjusting with precision to maintain a constant relative distance. Picture a sentinel in the void, silently paralleling our messenger, observing its every emission without revealing itself until the end. International space agencies convened in virtual urgency, cross-verifying with ground-based observatories and orbital telescopes. The consensus was inescapable. This wasn't a natural phenomenon. The plasma disruptions aligned with theoretical signatures of advanced field manipulation, akin to those proposed in plasma propulsion concepts or even exotic matter interactions. And as the data deepened, so did the fear. Voyager 2 hadn't just encountered something, it had been pursued. And in its final moments, that pursuit culminated in a contact that silenced it forever. Perhaps the most harrowing aspect surfaced not from the object's detection, but from the embedded signal within Voyager 2's last broadcast. A modulated radio wave interwoven with the probe's standard carrier frequency carried no trace of earthly origin. It hadn't been generated by Voyager's onboard computers, yet it rode the transmission homeward. Decoded through quantum computing clusters, the signal unfolded into a cascade of fractal-like sequences, binary progressions that, when visualized, formed self-similar geometries, spirals unfolding into lattices, reminiscent of Mandelbrot sets, but infused with an asymmetry that hinted at encoded information. Cryptographers and astrobiologists applied machine learning models trained on SETI protocols, drawing parallels to the hydrogen line frequency, but phase-shifted in a manner that suggested intentional modulation. The patterns bore hallmarks of communication, not chaos. Repetition with variation, as if building a lexicon from universal constants like pi or the fine structure constant. One faction interpreted it as a catalogue of elemental abundances, another as navigational coordinates pointing toward uncharted stellar nurseries. But underlying it all was a tone of urgency, a compression of data that overwhelmed Voyager's bandwidth, potentially accelerating its power drain. Whether this was a benevolent archive or a viral intrusion, the effect was the same. Voyager 2's systems overloaded, its final packet a desperate relay of the encounter. And in that overload, humanity glimpsed the confirmation we dreaded. An intelligence capable of interfacing with our technology, one that had chosen this moment to reveal itself, not through distant stars, but at our doorstep in the interstellar night. The astronomical community fractured under the weight of the implications. Optimists hailed it as the breakthrough of millennia, the irrefutable proof that life, intelligent, technological life, thrives beyond our pale blue dot. Pessimists, however, whispered of darker portents, fearing this signal as a harbinger of incursion or a trap laid for naive explorers. Decades of exoplanet surveys and fast radio burst analyses had teased at possibilities. Faint hints from afar, but this was intimate, aggressive in its proximity. What amplified the terror was the chronology. Archival reviews uncovered faint precursors in Voyager 1's data streams from years prior. Anomalies dismissed as cosmic ray hits or sensor artifacts. Now reanalyzed with contemporary neural networks, those blips aligned eerily with the final transmission signature. Subtle modulations in the cosmic ray detector, brief dips in magnetic field stability. It suggested a pattern of observation, a long-term surveillance that predated Voyager 2's encounter. Had both probes been monitored from the outset, their golden records scanned, their trajectories predicted, the fear coalesced. We'd been too presumptuous, broadcasting our existence via radio leaks and deliberate messages, assuming the cosmos was a silent audience. Instead, it had been listening, biding its time. And now, with Voyager 2's silence, the confirmation arrived. We are not the apex. Something else claims the void. As the final transmission's echoes reverberated through data centers, observatories worldwide pivoted, to scrutinize the probe's last known coordinates. Radio arrays in the Atacama Desert and the Australian outback captured residual harmonics, faint oscillations that mirrored the embedded signal but attenuated by distance. These weren't mere reflections, they pulsed with a rhythm, synchronized to the light travel time from Voyager's position, as if the entity were broadcasting in tandem, amplifying its message across the electromagnetic spectrum. Spectral analysis revealed inversions in common cosmic lines, helium absorption twisted, gamma-ray backgrounds subtly warped, suggesting manipulation on a quantum scale. Theorists invoked emerging models of quantum entanglement for interstellar communication, positing that the signal exploited non-local correlations to bypass speed of light limitations. But the synchronization implied intent, a deliberate echo designed to be detected by our instruments. Attempts to localize the source yielded ghost-like traces, vectors converging not on a single point, but a diffuse cloud, as if the originator dispersed its presence to evade pinpointing. This wasn't passive detection. It was a demonstration of capability, a flex of technological supremacy that confirmed our deepest apprehensions. The universe harbors minds far advanced, and they've turned their gaze upon us, not in curiosity, but perhaps in assessment. Delving deeper into the transmission's layers, a collaborative effort among particle physicists unearthed correlations with high-energy cosmic ray events logged by satellites in low Earth orbit. These rays, typically attributed to supernovae or active galactic nuclei, showed anomalous clustering around the time of Voyager 2's silence, their energies modulated in patterns echoing the signal's fractals. It hinted at a directed beam, a particle stream harnessed as a carrier wave capable of traversing interstellar distances without dispersion. Speculative theories flourished. Could this be evidence of a Dyson swarm, harvesting stellar energy to power such transmissions, or a von Neumann probe, self-replicating machinery seeding the galaxy? The data aligned with predictions from the Kardashev scale, suggesting a Type 2 civilization, or beyond, one that bends astrophysical phenomena to its will. Yet the modulation carried an undercurrent of asymmetry, deviations from perfect symmetry that astrophysicists likened to biological imprints, imperfections born of evolution rather than pure engineering. This blended the awe with dread, not just machines, but beings perhaps with agendas as inscrutable as our own. And in the final transmission's core, a compressed burst, decoded to reveal stellar spectra unknown to our catalogues, stars with emission lines defying standard models, as if offering a map to origins we weren't prepared to visit. The motion inferred from the plasma data painted an even more unsettling picture. The entity's path didn't adhere to Keplerian orbits or relativistic geodesics. It exhibited instantaneous velocity shifts, reminiscent of Alcubierre metric proposals, where space-time itself contracts ahead and expands behind. Magnetometer readings from Voyager 2's last active phase showed toroidal flux loops, magnetic bubbles collapsing and reforming in sequences that could only arise from artificial confinement, plasma shields, or warp bubbles sustaining exotic propulsion. Simulations incorporating general relativity failed to replicate these without invoking negative energy densities, a concept teetering on the edge of known physics. More alarmingly, the shifts occurred in response to Voyager's own faint radio pings, the probe's housekeeping signals eliciting mirror-like adjustments, as if the entity were calibrating to our technology. This reactivity suggested learning, adaptation, a probe not just observing, but interfacing, perhaps probing for vulnerabilities. In classified briefings, experts drew parallels to quantum Darwinism, where environmental interactions select for observable states, implying the entity was measuring Voyager 2, collapsing its isolation into shared reality. The confirmation deepened. This wasn't chance encounter. It was deliberate engagement, and Voyager's final silence might mark the point where observation turned to action. Meanwhile, on Earth, the ripple effects intensified. Neutrino detectors buried deep in Antarctic ice registered unexplained spikes. Flavor oscillations that deviated from solar and atmospheric baselines timed to the transmission's arrival. These elusive particles, capable of piercing planets unhindered, carried encoded fluctuations mirroring the radio signal's patterns, suggesting a multi-messenger approach, electromagnetic waves, paired with neutrino beams for redundancy or security. Astroparticle physicists posited this as a hallmark of advanced signaling, leveraging the universe's most penetrative carriers to ensure delivery. But the synchronization across detectors worldwide implied a broadcast not just from Voyager's vicinity, but omnipresent, as if the entity projected through a network spanning light years. Conspiracy suppressed, but leaks fueled public speculation. Was this the confirmation of a galactic web? Intelligences linked in a cosmic internet, with Voyager inadvertently tapping in? The fear we all harbored, that our solitude was a merciful illusion, crystallized. These echoes weren't invitations. They were affirmations, proof that the void teems with watchers and our probes had unwittingly announced our readiness. The strategic elegance of the signal's emergence haunted analysts. Why Voyager 2's twilight, after decades of unmolested travel? The timing coincided with humanity's leaps in quantum computing and gravitational wave detection, tools that finally allowed us to pass such complexities. Emerging theories suggested the entity had monitored our progress, waiting until our science matured enough to comprehend the message without dismissing it as noise. Archival SETI data, re-examined, revealed buried precursors, faint fast radio bursts from the 1990s, aligning with Voyager's milestones, perhaps initial pings testing our receptivity. Now, with AI deciphering the fractals into potential linguistic primitives, the message hinted at warnings. Depictions of stellar cataclysms, black hole mergers rendered in abstract code, as if cautioning against our expansionist dreams. Governments enacted information controls, redirecting telescopes from the region, while private ventures accelerated interstellar probe designs, driven by a mix of ambition and paranoia. Behind it all loomed the question, did Voyager 2's final act confirm mere existence or herald intervention? Had we crossed a threshold, awakening overseers who deem us worthy, or threatening? In the wake of the silence, Voyager 2's legacy transformed from triumph to omen. The intercepted data, the shadowed pursuit, the multispectrum echoes, none conformed to our paradigms of isolation. Something resides in the interstellar expanse, not eons away, but proximate, attuned to our ventures. And the most profound terror lies in the choice, not at launch, not amid planetary flybys, but now, as our civilization grapples with fusion, AI sentience, and the stars' call. The query shifts from aloneness to consequence. What dread have we affirmed? Remain vigilant, for the cosmos doesn't whisper idly. The next emanation might redefine not just our knowledge, but our fate.